Not everything has to be monetizable. One of my deeper purposes is to make sure that women feel like they can own something and that they can be able to have something that makes them money. Your brand identity is more than just your colors and your logo. It's your soul, it's your spirit. If I want to band women together and get them all like rallied behind something they feel excited about, is it just, oh yay, build their business? It's not. All the smartest business people know that aside from strategy, your inner game is what you got to conquer, because you're going to get in your own way. So I knew what I could bring, but I didn't know how to package it. I didn't know how to brand it. I didn't know how to position it until...
You're listening to the Real Business Connections Network. Real Business Connections Network. Powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. Subscribe now and check us out at realbusinessconnections.com. Enjoy the show.
I think one of the biggest things, like pivotal moments for me, was I had like my vision didn't actually scare me. And that's what scared me.
What's that mean? Take us to that moment. Take us that specific moment.
So maybe you're like this, or maybe your listeners were like this, but when I dove headfirst into learning everything I could about personal development, right? Like this is like the apex of transformation, right? And you're learning everything about yourself newly, or all the NLP stuff that I dove into, hypnotherapy, and then I would go to seminars. I became the seminar junkie, right? Learning about marketing, building businesses, branding, just all this stuff to really sharpen what I kind of already knew, but really just learn, okay, how do we actually put this into something tangible now, right? Coming from Hollywood, and then into actually building your own business, there's a lot of crossover, but there's a lot of different things. And so I was in one of the seminars. I remember this literally clear as day. And we were doing an exercise that was a visualization, because right, without vision, without knowing where you're going, without having something bigger that maybe you're pushing yourself towards, where are you going, right? What are you doing? Yeah. And so we were being guided. I don't remember for the life of me. I don't remember who this was. If I did, I would totally give props to. But I never forgot the moment, and I never forgot how it made me feel. And we were doing this visualization, and it was in order to think bigger, dream bigger, like, oh, is this your goal? What would happen if you went bigger with that? What would that look like? Or, right? Like that was the purpose of it. And so in the process of it, the instructor was having us bring up our goal and visualize our goal. And they literally said in that moment, they were like, okay, like, does this feel exciting for you? Like, how does it feel? It got you really in touch with like the kinesthetic, like how you actually emotionally were connecting with it. And then they literally asked, they were like, does it scare you? And I didn't really, it wasn't that I didn't feel anything, but it was like,
Well, what was the goal? Because you had already, made it in Hollywood. You were a mermaid. You did all of it. What was the goal that wasn't big enough?
You were already a mermaid. What else could you possibly want out of life, Sarah? You already played a mermaid.
Quick digression. So you were a mermaid, correct?
Yeah. Yes. One of my favorite. So cheesy. Okay. It's very popular with young girls, like still to this day. And I feel blessed and honored. And okay, side tangent. I thought it was cool playing a mermaid. Like this was like some past life, like lived out a past life in this life. Because while I was trying, right, getting work in the beginning stages of acting, I would swim all the time. I was a swimmer, and I would swim. I trained myself under the water, and I would swim like a mermaid, train myself to hold my breath as long as I could. So then getting this part, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And I thought it was super cool. We went to Australia. Like I lived there for like almost 6 months. I got a tail made custom for me. We did the whole thing. I went scuba diving in the middle of we did the whole thing. I thought that was cool. I will tell you though, when I became an auntie and when my niece all of a sudden became obsessed with all things mermaid, that life goal, if you will, of like being a mermaid hit different. It just hit different when all of a sudden now I'm not just auntie. I'm like cool auntie. I am, she's into mermaids and it's like, auntie's a mermaid. Like I hold that card so good. And there's a little bit of like intense stuff that happens. And so my sister is literally like, okay, but I can't have her watch like the whole movie, you know, because there's just parts she was too young at the time. And I was like, can you please, like, can I get some street cred and like auntie street cred over here? Will you please show her the movie? And so she ends up watching like auntie is legit a mermaid. I feel like I got just total different like auntie street cred at that point. And that hit different because to me, it was the fun thing about Hollywood is it's possibility thinking and you can dream as big as you want and be anything you want, even if it's a mermaid. But then being able to kind of be able to actually show that to my niece who's growing up, like, and her being able to be like, wow, like I can literally be anything I want. Like auntie can be anything she wants. She can even be a mermaid. Like, you know, like it hit different. It was like a different check on the life goals that I didn't know I needed, that I didn't know I had. So
it does hit different because I mean, all of us, for the most part, like we like when people like our posts. We like validation, this or that. We like when we're doing something we're passionate about. But it's like just your niece. It's just being cool auntie is more rewarding than a lot of the other BS that we focus on every single day.
I just always would want her to know that she can be anything that she wants in the world. And I feel like, again, that translates to even the women that I work with and men too. It's just like, you can be anything that you want in the world. If one thing doesn't happen the way that you thought it was, you can be something that you can reinvent. You can, you know, and then that was obviously part of my story of what I had to do because it didn't follow the perfect trajectory that I thought it would. And I had to detour and pivot and then reinvent and then start something, build something from nothing. So
it's a good segue. Good segue back home because
thank you.
You can do anything you want, and your vision didn't scare you. Like, what were you trying to do at this time? Like at this time, back to scene that we were talking about. Your vision didn't scare you. Like, what were you thinking that you could accomplish or should accomplish, or what were you working on? And how did it change? How did you start thinking bigger from there?
And I love being able to have that question so I can reflect back because it almost like at that time, like now I almost don't even remember what I was trying to think that the dream was at that moment, you know, when I think back. But honestly, like sometimes that's not even as important as how it made me feel. And so without getting into kind of the details, because it was probably like, you know, the stereotypical like mundane stuff that like, I want to be able to make this much money and I want to be able to like make an impact and all these buzzwords that we hear. And I feel like I had heard them so many times that it was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to say. And then in the moment of trying to visualizing in this experience and in this, kind of visualization, it was like, it's almost like we say the words so many times that then they lose their potency, they lose their value. And now they just become parroted words that then in that moment I was like, like, okay, like sure, making an impact, but it was like, for what? Like what are we really trying to do? What's the difference that I actually really want to make? Because even mini flashback, even back in Hollywood, and everyone's like, they would all talk about fame, right? And I think that's just like now, even outside of Hollywood, people talk about fame, and I just think it's so tacky. I really do, right? We want, I fully believe and I fully support people wanting to make a difference and using their influence to positively make a difference. And so to a certain extent, there's attention that comes along with that. obviously. But if you're doing it for the purpose of, that's just a little different, right? And I remember thinking, this was a moment I was like on the red carpet for some independent film. And somebody was asking me, like, what does it feel like to be blah, blah, blah? And I'm just, I literally heard this internal voice. I'm tangenting a little bit. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I heard this internal voice and it was just like, fame means absolutely nothing if you don't actually have something to say to inspire people by. And that was another moment that like hit me where it was just like, okay, like there's no purpose behind, might feel fancy and fun and yay, but like there's no purpose behind it unless you actually create a purpose behind it. And that goes back to, if your vision doesn't scare you, then like, are you, what's your purpose behind it? Like, what is it that you really want to be able to do? And I had to sit with that for a minute because that's what scared me. I was like, I feel like basic, like I feel average. And I realized, for me, no pressure on anyone, right? No judgment on anybody else. But for me in that moment, I realized, okay, I was doing all of the things that were fun and creating a business and all of that stuff and helping people. But the deeper, I needed a new why, right? Like the why wasn't big enough. It wasn't like, what are we actually trying to influence here in the world? Is it influence for the sake of influence? That's so boring. Like that's what felt like it didn't scare me because it wasn't, I don't want to say that it wasn't big enough. It just, like, it allowed me, it was a moment that I decided to go back and like really sit with myself and be like, well, what are we really wanting to do all this for? Who cares? Why is it important? I love working with everybody, but for me, especially, why is it important that I love working with women and helping women not just build their businesses, but build their businesses bigger? Why is it so important that having your personal brand, when everybody's like, oh, well, it's fame and it's attention and it's this, that's great, but that's not why. Your deeper reason is, so for me, like, I never want a woman to feel like she doesn't own her own. I work with some of the most badass women and they know they own it, and they like, we don't have confidence all the time, but for the most part, you know what I mean? Like we dip for sure, but for the most part, like they have the confidence, and yet there's always this, hey, I want to do something bigger, and what's getting in my way? Or I don't want to live by the same old, outdated stereotypes that society puts on us. Or even this, have to balance masculine and feminine, and a woman running her business. Oh, she's too masculine and then she's not feminine enough. And there's so much judgment around it that it's like, a woman is everything. She doesn't have to choose. She doesn't have to pick whether she's this or that. That's so binary thinking. And so one of the deeper things for me, yes, it's build your business. Yes, it's build your brand. But it's because who you get to become in that process, and then who you get to influence, whether it's your niece and letting her know what's possible, or the next generation, or your community, to kind of flip the script on the old narrative. Like, if we're not innovating who we are as people, let alone women, what are we doing? Who's going to be the voices for that? And it's not enough just for me to be inspired to be that voice. I want to bring all women who are inspired to have their own voice in their own way.
Right.
And men too. This is not an anti-men. We need collaboration. It's humans.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm going to give you a couple.
Long-winded, but
no, I love it. I'm going to give you a couple.
How to put it in a perfect like soundbite. I don't. It's a feeling.
Hey, life is not a soundbite. There's a soundbite.
Fair. That's the soundbite. Life is not a soundbite. Neither is your brand.
I'm going to give you two. The listeners probably heard me say this, but I'm going to give you two like analogies that I like to give, metaphors. And two of my favorite ones are there is no key to success. It's a combination lock, similar to your pin on your phone or your padlock at the gym. Everyone has their unique combination. And the other thing I like to talk about is why do they, and I got in trouble all the time when I was younger. Why did they take my fingerprint when I got in trouble? Because we have a unique fingerprint. We have a unique DNA code. Our business, our brand, our company, it has a soul. It has unique vision, value. So I just want you to riff on that, because a lot of what I'm hearing and a lot of what I hear that I disagree with, even though it makes you money, is figure out what people need and work backwards. And in some cases, depending on what people need and what you're doing, it could be completely inauthentic to you. But you're creating a brand and a business just because you're trying to make money based on a need, even though it's not authentic to your DNA code, your combination, your fingerprint. Is that a problem in personal branding? People are just trying to be someone they're not?
That's a really, really good question. And I love that you gave the analogy of like, it's like that combination lock, because it's like the ones that I remember in like the old school lockers in like junior high or something. And if you mess up, if you pass the number, like you screw up, you got to go back to the beginning again. Like you have to like rewind. What was it? Like counterclockwise three times and then start back to the beginning.
I never thought about that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you fuck up, sorry,
you can swear. Okay. You can swear. And I say all the time, like we can run really fast, but if we run in the wrong direction, we have to turn around. And it's the same concept. If you screw up, you have to
pause and then counterclockwise 3 times and then start back at 1 or 0 or whatever the thing is.
Sure. Yeah.
So I love that analogy. And you said something really intelligent about that, because yes, authenticity is a buzzword in branding, especially. And I believe that that's because people are trying to find this part of them wants to have their message and share their message, whether it's their story, whether it's how they want to inspire the world, whether it's the expertise that they know will help others because it helped them. And then there's this other part of them that is like, well, I don't know if I want to be seen, or if I'm out there too much, then people will judge me, or is my brand, am I just putting myself out there like just to be seen? Because look at all of those people who do it, and they kind of some of them come across arrogant. I don't want to be like that, and I don't want it to be all about me, right? So there's this false narrative that if you are creating your personal brand, that you're like all about yourself or something. I understand it. And I understand where people come from. And I've heard the same dialogue within myself. And I believe the ones who truly believe that, they're the ones who aren't doing it for something authentic, for something bigger. But when you have true alignment with, hey, I have my passion and I have my expertise, and I want to create something with that, because that's, you said, some spiritual or soul driven, like you put your soul into it. This is not just have AI kick out your personal brand.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you can have it generate your colors. Fine. Fantastic. I don't care. I don't care what your colors are. You know what I mean? Like, great. Have AI generate your brand identity, but your brand identity is more than just your colors and your logo. It is exactly. I love that you were like, it's your soul. It's your spirit. And that goes back to, I had to sit with that. Is what I'm doing impactful enough? Is it mean enough? Is this really like if I want to band women together and get them all like rallied behind something they feel excited about, is it just, oh yay, build their business? It's not. We do that because yes, you get to own it. You get to own something nobody can take away from you. Absolutely. I will always make sure that women know how to have that and grow that. And who do you get to become in the process? Who is that future vision that you have for yourself? Or if you don't yet, can you envision a version of you that you didn't think was possible? And can you use your personal brand and building this business as a catalyst to then become this version of you that is soulfully like wanting to come out. Like I believe this will get a little woo.
Yeah.
Because I went hard woo for a couple of years. This is my personal belief. I believe that every person's deeper soul desire, spiritual desire, if you will, is to reach higher and higher levels of self-awareness into, there's a buzzword called self-actualization, right?
Sure.
To just always learn more about yourself and become continuously this. There's never an ending, right? Like you're just always learning about yourself in order to then learn about each other, in order to then have deeper connections and build deeper relationships with each other. But it starts with self. It starts with like, how well do you know yourself? How interested are you in deeper self-discovery? Like, I nerd out on that stuff. And I believe that is, each human being has a internal spiritual desire, if you will, or their spirit is calling them to, let's say, that's a deeper calling that each person has. I don't know how to articulate it, but it's a heart and it's a spirit calling, and you either listen or you suppress it.
You suppress it.
And that's really sad if you suppress it. And that's where then maybe things don't feel so authentic, is if you're suppressing something, you're not fully in alignment with that, whatever that spiritual calling is for you. That's unique, just like your fingerprint.
I think he's a mutual friend. Good friend of mine, Brian Bogert. I know he's a mutual friend, right?
Brian.
Yeah.
Dude, no, we just became like official brother, sister from another.
Way. Okay.
We nerded out so hard. It was like, talk about just two, I don't know what he'll say, but everybody else went downstairs and we stayed upstairs just like two little kids nerding out with each other and laughing, and just like that instant, just friend care for somebody that was so just like genuine and authentic. I genuinely feel like he's like a brother that I don't have. I'm
going to share this clip with him. I'm going to cut that clip, share with him.
Totally. What up, Brian? But that to me is like two spirits connecting.
Sure.
We just happen to be two humans in two different bodies, but like it was like spirits laughing with each other. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're asking me some questions. You're like pulling out some.
All I said was Brian. All I said was the words Brian Boger. You did the rest. But the reason I mentioned Brian, he has a fantastic way of putting things succinct. And one quote I love by Brian is he says, "There is no end destination, only constant evolution of self."
Oh, damn, Brian!
That's like the exable, I guess, whatever we call it, of what you're describing, that we don't reach an end destination. We continue to evolve. And if our vision, if what we're looking to accomplish isn't big enough, the evolution can't occur.
That. Somebody like,
I just figured this out on the spot. I don't know.
Genius dropping from like, but did you, or did you really know it?
I intuitively understand these things, but taking the concept and putting it into words so I can actually apply it. Because talk about the application process, because we can talk woo, we can talk theory, we can talk, but unless we go out and start amplifying ourselves, we won't have a personal brand. Another person, just a random comment, but Ashley Foz talks about thought leadership, and there's two categories. There's thoughts and leadership. You can be a leader with really bad thoughts. You can have great thoughts, but if no one knows or hears them, you're not a thought leader. So I can try to build a personal brand, but if I don't put myself out there, I don't have a personal brand, correct?
Yeah, I gotta go look her up. That was
I'm on
awesome.
tangents today.
Yeah,
These are all
no,
my
I
friends.
love it. That's such an epic tangent. That was so good.
So talk a little bit
1000%.
about like, so we understand a little bit who we are, what we're trying to do, or let's talk about that. Let's talk about the discovery phase before we talk about the amplification stage.
Okay,
What does
fair.
the discovery phase look like when I'm developing my personal brand?
So discovery phase, and you mean tangible discovery phase. You don't mean
I mean, like
the spiritual moment. So we're outside.
I guess you can answer that question. You can answer the question however you want. I'm a listener. I'm Ben who's reinventing myself. Like, where do I start when like I don't want to be big online. I don't want to be judged. Where do I start?
Ew. We're not doing that. Okay. So, and I love this because oftentimes people do come to me. Some come when they're just starting out, right?
Sure.
But where I've kind of progressed now is more people come to me where they've kind of already been in the game a little bit, and now they are in the I need to rebrand, or I need to go bigger, or I want to raise my prices, or my aesthetics of my brand. It's not really attracting what I want, so I need to change something so that I can go bigger. Maybe they had that moment of vision and now they need to adjust all the tangibles so they can achieve this. So I would say then, sure, first the non-tangible necessity is that vision piece. Whatever you have to do, right? I left a career in Hollywood that was in a transition anyway. So it was this perfect opportunity. And I went and sat on a vortex in Sedona for 3 years and like realigned. I went deep woo.
What do you mean by on a vortex? I don't understand.
The vortex is in Sedona.
So I know Sedona is like a gorgeous place, but beautiful. What is a vortex?
It is an energetic. This is scientifically proven. This is not fake, like, right? It's not fantasy woo. This is actual spiritual and scientific. Because I met the dude in Sedona who was not a believer of these vortexes, and he took all his equipment out. Benjamin, I won't put him on blast. He wouldn't want me to put him on blast. But his name is also Benjamin.
There you go. Put me on blast.
I'll put you on blast. So he used all his equipment to actually measure in the ground. There are energetic, if you could see it, it would be like similar to, I guess, like a tornado, right? Swirling in a rotation. You can tangibly see this without technology. The juniper trees that are there, if you ever go to Sedona, or anybody listening, the juniper trees that are throughout Sedona, some of them just grow up and you can see kind of like the way the bark grows. There is one tree in particular as you're going up. Oh my gosh, I don't remember. I think it's Airport Mesa. Anyways, that's irregardless. But you can see the tree, like the bark rotates. So it grows because it's influenced by the energetic fields.
Energetic, yeah.
So everything is energy, right? This is science. This is not like crazy woo-woo stuff. This is like, everything is literally energy. Same reason why you can sense someone before they walk in the room. You can sense someone before they talk. Like everybody has a vibe. And so I like explaining kind of the science behind it because people are like, oh, well, it's not tangible. So how do you know? How do you not know?
So you're in Sedona, you're just like chilling on the vortex. Well, where were we? Where were we?
Realigning my chakras. No. So that was what I needed to do to just quiet all the chaos. Right? All the internal dialogue telling me, all the society, right? Stereotypes, everything telling me well, you should be this and not this, right? This should happen. This should not happen. I needed to quiet all that. I didn't want to be influenced by stereotypes in society. I hate all of that. And I wanted to see clearly for me what I aligned with. And get in touch with that, whatever you call something higher. Everybody has a different name for it, and I honor and respect everyone's name for it. But whatever you call that something higher and bigger, get more in touch with that. And that's what I was doing out there. met a lot of weird people along the way. But that's what I was doing out there. And that goes along with visualizations. That goes along with allowing yourself to, if you don't have the luxury of going on your own spiritual journey like that, sit in your living room and put on some meditation music and allow your thoughts to relax. Those of us who are overthinkers and have a little bit of ADD, that's hard. But put on a visualization, put something that will guide you into being influenced to think bigger, to feel more, to be a possibility thinker, right? That was one of the main things that I love that Hollywood taught me, was just be a possibility thinker.
Interesting, yeah.
Don't think about if you can't because, or if money, then it wouldn't. All of that can't be in the realm of possibility thinking. And so you want to allow your creative mind to just go and expand. And whatever you have to do to support that influence, do that. I don't know if that's right, because everybody's different. That could be dance. Some people get really inspired by moving their body and then sit down and visualize and think of what you would want more. What goes beyond what you've been told is okay. What goes beyond what your parents have, right? We get locked in, again, stereotypes or old belief systems or old patterns of behavior.
Kind of ingrained into us.
Very much so. So they're psychological miasms, if you will, and they get passed down through generations. So if you were outside of that, if that wasn't there, if none of those boundaries or barriers or potential conflicts were there, what would be possible? What would you allow your creative or allow that spiritual essence or energy to influence you? What would show up? What ideas would come forward? What would that be? And that's different for everybody. I've taken a couple of my elite clients through like a guided hypnotherapy kind of session, because you have to get to kind of just a different brainwave where we're not operating in the overthinking. Yeah. And so if you can get there, and then take a notepad, right? So you're like, how do you take all this non-tangible stuff and then turn it into something applicable? Like, do that as a practice and then bring a notepad with you so that then you're remembering what came forward. Even if it doesn't fully make sense, write it down, explain it the best that you can. And from there, if we were to move into something tangible, you would combine that inspired vision, that passion. It might lead you to a deeper sense of purpose, if you will. And then, because we are living in the world, right? This is where, how do you turn it into something tangible? My goal is always, how do you turn it into something tangible that then is monetizable? Because it's just a fun fantasy if you're not building it into something. And I'm not saying everything has to be monetizable, but in today's world, unless you have the luxury to just create without making money, fantastic for you, Chad. But like,
I like the concept of ROE, return on effort. And it might not be a return on investment like capital, but if you're doing something that's impact driven, ROE, return on effort. If I'm doing something impact driven, it might not pay me. At least, and maybe I don't want to get paid, but at least it's a return on your time is the real key.
But then it's still paying you.
Correct.
So everything has
but
to
people
pay
think
back.
Investment and they think money, but it doesn't have to necessarily pay you in the cash. It can pay you in something else.
That's accurate. 100%. Really well said. Because if we're going back to energy, everything is an energy exchange.
Sure.
So if you're putting out something, what then is coming back in return? And sometimes people will say, and this is where like I kind of call it out a little bit, because some people are like, well, I just want to help people. That's fantastic. And that's noble. And yes, so many people do. But let's get to like the root of it. You want to help people that's not the deeper purpose, right? Or that's not the only reason. It's a big part of it. It's your driver. It's not what your give back is, if that makes sense. So yeah, it doesn't have to be financial return.
Sure.
because money is just a form of energy exchange. It just comes in a paper or a little plastic card or a transaction, like with fees. So like it has to return something, because otherwise, if you're not, then that's not fulfilling. Oh gosh, how do I explain? There's a law of the universe, if you will, right? For every action, there's a reaction. For every centropy, there's entropy. That's too nerdy. For every wax on, wax off, right? Like there's a
That's definitely not dirty.
That's the balance of the universe.
Yes,
For every out, there's an in, for right? So you can't just say, oh, well, I just want to give. At some point you would be depleted and you would no longer be able to give. Could you argue, but I'm getting filled up by all of these? Then you're getting filled up by something.
Yes.
So you're getting this in over here so that you can put it out over here, right? This is, we're not speaking intangibles anymore. But hopefully everybody's following. Again,
I follow.
Okay. So again, not everything has to be monetizable.
Yes.
One of my deeper purposes, however, is to make sure that women feel like they can own something and that they can be able to have something that makes them money and makes them a lot of money. So I'm not weird about that. I think that that's a healthy conversation. It was not so long ago that women were not allowed to have their bank accounts. So one of my values is to make sure a woman has her own level of security. Doesn't mean she doesn't want to partner with a man, but it doesn't mean that's her only relying on a man for financial stuff or for her to build something in the world. Because again, I don't think that that's an equal relationship dynamic either, right? If one is relying on the other. I'm a little bit traditional, but I'm also like kind of modern.
I love my analogies, and I love the concept of two holes.
Yes.
The concept of other half is cringy to me.
It's so
because that means you're only at 50%. You're 50% depleted. You're in a state of need that you're required. This to me, it's two other holes cohabitating. Yes. And that's not just in a relationship. That's in a business partnership. That's in any good exchange. It's two holes coming to the table. And then I know this isn't math, but when you have two holes, it's like horses. If you have 5 horses, they can pull the amount that 10 individual horses can pull.
1,000%. Yes. That's true partnership.
Yeah. I've never understood the math, how 2 ones, you got one, and then suddenly you have 3. I've never got it, but it works that way.
Because you double the efforts, because you double the energy. That's how, because it multiplies.
Or I can only imagine the places where we freeze or we ponder, or I'm not good at something. So it freezes, and I spend maybe an hour of my day thinking about a problem you could have solved in a minute. So if you solve that problem for me in a minute, then I don't waste that hour, and I can solve a problem for you. That's probably how that works.
That's wisdom. And somehow, like, that wisdom is getting more expensive these days. Like it's fewer and far between.
Sure.
Like having people have that wisdom, or they're trying to revert back to like two traditional, old school traditional models where it's like, man, like you have to have, again, we're innovating. You want some things that will be honorable, but I mean, we can't constantly be looking in the past. Otherwise, we wouldn't get anywhere. Like then, right? You wouldn't innovate anything. So, but that's not everybody thinks that way, and that's okay. But some people, those usually that I end up working with, they have an innovative mind. They have a future forward mind. It's the very like high achieving, what are we going bigger, faster, stronger? It's like, cool, a little bit of maybe some things in the past worked. You don't have to throw everything out, but if it's not working for where we're going, you have to be able to change and mold. Otherwise we'll be, right? We're not fossils. We can't get stuck in the, could you imagine? So I think we're a little bit off topic. So to circle back, how do you turn it into something tangible?
Yeah.
The first foundation would be, how are you going to take this vision and this passion and this purpose with your expertise, right? It's a little bit different than the kind of ikigai model, if you will. It really simplifies it. There's not so many circles. It's really just a few pillars where you have the thing that vision that you're passionate about. Call it your purpose, call it passion, whatever you want. Then you have what expertise can you align with that can cohabitate or that goes together. And then the other category is does it fulfill something that is needed in the world, or it's a luxury item, but it's either a want or a need in the world. So you said something earlier. You were like, not everything has to fulfill. I forget exactly how you said it, but you don't always have to be like fulfilling like a need, like this product has to fulfill it, right? In traditional marketing.
Like wants pay better than needs. Crazy enough.
So it's both, though, because if we're gonna talk the psychology of marketing,
I know it's both, but I'm just thinking out loud to the fact, like, we spend so much money on our wants, but
we do.
We really do.
We do. And that's one of the reasons why I love building luxury lifestyles and luxury products for people. Services, though, you kind of have to hit the need, only because psychologically, most often, let me clarify. Oftentimes, you have two different types of people. You have the person who is trying to overcome something, right? And it's a need that they need to solve. The high achievers, they know the value of investing. They know the value of thinking for what something will pay them back, right? The return on investment.
Long-term, even just the long-term compound interest of that investment.
So they hear more of language of what will this help me achieve in the future, not what will this help me overcome today. They hear it a little bit differently. So that's where I say you need both, because it's who are you talking to? And sometimes there's still high achievers that have a pain point they have to overcome. It's just they're not coming from the perspective of I'm struggling and I have to overcome. It's this is where I'm at and I want to get here. What do I have to do to get there? So they know it's a challenge, but they think about it differently, if that makes sense. So that's a want, and then versus the negative need to overcome. Did I explain that right? I don't know. Hopefully that made sense.
I think it made sense.
Okay. Back to how do you turn this into something monetizable?
Yeah, let's talk about, to circle back to something like super clear and actionable. Because if I didn't get any of that, that's probably because I was just spaced out and I need to re-listen three times to this podcast. Let's say you already mentioned that colors are not my brand per se. Like that's maybe people think, oh, my colors, I need the perfect colors, this or that. When I'm out and I'm actually going to step out and amplify myself and wave the flag and not try to be famous, but get a little bit of attention because I can help more people and make more impact and connect more dots if I do. How do I do it? Do I just post on social media? What do you do?
Okay, let's take you as an example then. So when you say, how do I do it?
Sure.
Right? Very broad, general.
I was speaking for the 1 billion people listening, and everybody 100%. Has their own it. So,
and totally. And get a little specific. Like if you want to, we can use you as a metaphorical example, but you are creating a podcast.
Yeah.
Right? So you are putting yourself out there. You're using your voice to have awesome conversations so far. This has been super fun. We've gone on a few tangents.
That's what I like.
That's what I like too. We didn't plan this. Very organic. So I love that. To me, that says one of your values is to connect and just have really awesome conversations with people. And what comes out of it, you have no idea.
I'm stuck in the vortex and I don't know where it's going to take me.
The possibility vortex. that's perfect, of creativity, right? Perfect.
The possibility vortex.
The possibility vortex.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. But you can't stay there because
No.
then you're only in possibility and you don't take action. So you have to get out of the vortex of possibility for a moment in order to then go a little bit straight line. Because if you circle around, you'll get caught. It's like a washing machine, right? And the cycle's never done. So you have to get out of this. Once the cycle is done, right? And your washing machine dings, you have to get out of the washing machine. And now you got to walk the line. So you have to go linear. You have to take action in the direction of whatever you got from the vortex. So if you were in your washing machine vortex and you were like, I really want to create this podcast to connect with people and share more stories, or create a platform so that other people can hear inspiring stories that might ripple out to inspire them in their businesses or life. Great. You're not just going to do that. This is your time. This is your energy. Unless you're a Nepo baby that just has funds coming in from wherever, you have to pay your own bills. That's everybody. So you would want to monetize that somehow. Sure. It doesn't take away the value of what we're doing, but you might monetize the podcast. You might create a commercial on your podcast that showcases something that you offer. I don't know what you have on your podcast for this. Just right. So I'm not looking at through the lens of knowing what you have or don't have. I want that.
We'll be back to this. We'll be back to Serah D'Laine after this commercial break.
Yeah. Literally.
No, I'm like such a huge not fan of in ads because it just kills the flow. Just like I just did right there.
Totally.
But that's part of my brand is I want the podcast to feel like almost like a trip. Like you just like you're there beginning to end. There's no breakup.
Yes. Yeah.
I want it to be seamless.
100%, but then put it at the end. Hey, if you really enjoyed this episode, I've got a newsletter. Come join. I've got a group program. See if you're interested. Apply. I've got one-on-ones. These are all service-based. Maybe it's a product that you have. Maybe you're selling hoodies and t-shirts. Hey, if you liked this episode, like go get the quote from today's episode where Serah said, my vision didn't scare me and that scared me. Like, and there's a quote where you can get a hoodie with that quote on it. And then your logo for the podcast on the back. And now people are walking around like that's walking promotion for you.
I need to build a bigger team because I love that concept right there.
Yeah, you could drop ship, bro. Like you can literally like print on demand and drop ship.
I know. Well, I just need my designer to make one for every episode.
Okay, now we have AI that you can have AI make 5 different designs. That's why people are like, I need a logo. Oh my God, go have AI make your logo for you. Nobody cares.
It's pretty easy. Yeah.
They want they want people, they want to understand, they want conversations like this. They want to listen to these types of conversations. And then if they're inspired and they'd be like, damn, that's a good quote. What was one that you said? Possibility vortex. Get in your possibility vortex. Put that on a hoodie. If somebody's like, man, that was really good. You could do a poll from your audience to like the top soundbite quotes and be like, which one, and get a voting system going, and then seeing which one got the most votes, make a hoodie out of that and see if those sell. Put that shit on Etsy.
You know what I've been doing that I haven't published any yet? I'm using, I programmed a ChatGPT to write songs like Kendrick Lamar. That's where it starts.
Stop it. This is
and then I can I'll do it for this episode. This is
this is awesome.
I'm writing for anyone listening.
Yeah, put it in your calendar. Otherwise,
my paper calendar, because I don't have my calendar pulled up. So what I'll do is I'll take the transcript from this episode and I'll turn it into a hip hop song.
Stop
and
it.
then I use Suno.ai to create the song. And I'll have a song, like I'll have a Serah rap done within 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
So I can take, and I don't know if anybody would listen to this. I haven't put any of them out.
Nobody wants to hear Serah rap. Let's start there.
No, you're not rapping though. The idea, that's a whole new level to take the person's voice. What it does is you take the lyrics, you put it into the app, and then it just uses a random voice with random beats in it.
Will it use Kendrick Lamar's voice?
It will not, because
that's unfortunate.
In the music world, this is very controversial. In the creative world, reasonably very controversial. You can't use someone's copy. this is a whole tangent because
No, I know, because people use my face all the time for
people
like
are
clickbait
saying
stuff, and it's not cool.
Yeah, it's and there's an argument to be made that the AI's learning based on these musicians. So they say it's not Kendrick Lamar, but it actually is programmed.
But it's inspired by yeah.
So like when you program the AI, I can't type in names.
Yeah.
But this is me getting on a big tangent. You can go to ChatGPT and say, describe Kendrick Lamar in the main adjectives. Describe Drake. It'll say like Canadian, modern, hip hop, emotional. And then you'll just take the adjectives, put it into the AI music thing. You didn't say Kendrick Lamar. You just gave it all the adjectives that describe them.
It its keywords, Kendrick's keywords.
And I could just be like, I could just put out a Serah D'Laine diss track in like 10 minutes.
I want to hear that privately so that I can laugh at myself, because that sounds hysterical.
So, and for the listener,
wait, real quick, is it like so? It's all the lyrics of a song.
Correct.
It would like kick out a song.
Yeah,
that's hysterical.
What I'll do
then print the lyrics on the back of a hoodie.
Well, I was more thinking that the merch idea was incredible, but I was more just thinking just like a fun way to have, I don't know if it would be on like a Patreon account or just a free YouTube channel. Be like, if you want to hear the song from this episode, along with the worksheet and show notes, head to Grow Business.
Yes. And most importantly, do a poll. If people are interested in it, then you at least have some audience.
That's not
feedback.
how I do things. I do polls, Sarah, but I'm the guy who's like, what do you think?
I'm like, let's do it.
I'm going to do it anyways.
So, right. And and you're hearing a little bit of like the strategy mind behind me, because when I first started, I did that stuff too. Yeah. And it was like, oh, let's do this. And it was very intuitive. And then it was also like, okay, well, if you don't want to guess all the time, because that takes up a lot of mental decision making, right? We get into decision fatigue, and it's like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Sure. If you want to try it, awesome. And it's intuitive, go for it. And sometimes it's go by a little bit of strategy where do some market research. One of the things, I heard a story of Reese Witherspoon, brilliant. She started a book club. And she saw that she put all the books in it, and the books that got the most attention and that were voted the most, or like inside of her book club, she would turn those into a movie. So she's using audience attention to see which one might have a higher probability of being profitable. So yes, try it. If it kicks off, awesome. Then you followed your intuition. Most people aren't as aligned with that in their intuition that they're like, cool, let's just try this.
Sure.
Sometimes we want a little bit of strategy. So when I was first kicking out on social media, I would do Q&As on Instagram. And this was before Instagram made the Q&A option. And I would do a live stream every week. This turned into like 4.5 years. There's still people who send me messages that are like, that helped, or they remember it. I got burnt out on it for sure. And at some point, right, you got to reinvent. So 4.5 years later, there's not even one show on television, I think, that's past 4 seasons. But every week I would write down the questions. I had a system where I would go through any question. People would show up all the time and ask different questions. And then I would find a pattern between the top most asked questions. I think it came down to like 3 different, and I put them in a category. And at the time, it was all personal development for their relationships and helping them connect better with people and intimacy and all that stuff. So the common questions were, how do I let go of my ex? Or how do I get over somebody? Right? So they went through a breakup. How do I get over it? How do I move on? Then it was the next biggest one was, how do I create something that then to not distract from the ex, but how do I get my power back? How do I create something to like that I can feel passionate and powerful again, because now I feel disempowered, right? Came out of this, whatever. And then it was like, how do I like re-embody kind of more of their feminine power without being inauthentic or egotistic,
Sure.
right? Not ego power, but just badass feminine power. Like, how do they tap into that? So there's a little bit of that spiritual connection. And that was the first course that I ever built, was based on the questions from the audience. And it sold before I actually finished building it.
You pre-sold it.
Pre-sold it, 100%. I don't know if I'll ever do that again. But if you want to test out a product to see, I didn't know I didn't know if they want, even though they were asking these questions, I didn't know if it would sell. I didn't know if I would actually make a profit on it, right? People have to say yes in order for it to be profitable. So I knew I had all the tools for it. I knew exactly, I had the whole outline, and I had all the techniques. So it was all the personal development and spiritual stuff. And they were proven, science-backed, right? NLP, parts work therapy, all of that stuff. Super really powerful transformational tools. So I knew what I could bring, but I didn't know how to package it. I didn't know how to brand it. I didn't know how to position it until I found from the audience, well, this is what they're asking for. This is what they're saying their problem is. I know I have the solution, but people don't respond to what the solution is. They only respond to what they know their problem is.
Sure.
Or desire.
They want an antidote for that problem.
They want an antidote for the problem, or they want a goal that they can achieve. And how do I get there better? Or how do I get there faster? So for my high achieving badass ladies, all of that is great. I know I have self-sabotage. I know I'm overthinking. I know that I don't believe in imposter syndrome. I will it's a parts problem, right? But when it happens, when all of that doubt or whatever that's holding you back from getting from your next level or your current level of success into your next, because we can have all the strategies, but all the smartest business people know that aside from strategy, your inner game is what you got to conquer, because you're going to get in your own way. You set a new goal. You set that vision. That's the other thing they don't tell anybody. You set that future bigger vision for you. When you do that, your brain automatically, the subconscious protection programs automatically get greenlit. And all of a sudden, all of the reasons why you can't do it, shouldn't do it, all of the doubt comes in, all the overthinking. I don't care how successful you are. This happens to everybody at every stage.
Totally.
It automatically happens because that's how the brain works. It's set up to protect you and keep you at the same level. So the minute you have that bigger vision or set that bigger goal, all of that comes up. And so I created a systematic set of tools, actual proven NLP tools, that when that moment happens, the first 6 ones, like lightning speed, will get you through that within 8 weeks. Like, it's 8 specific transformational techniques that will move you through that. And I wanted those because I was like, oh my God, like my brain goes a mile a minute sometimes. And I'm like, these tools are just the tools that I had. They weren't good enough at that point. I surpassed them. I needed something more, and I needed faster and stronger. And so I sought what I needed for myself. And then that's what I implemented. And I was helping those people in their relationships and turned it into the course. And then like I said, that was coming out of something, a challenge that they were going through after a breakup, after a toxic relationship. Then I was like, well, damn, like these tools can do that for these women. I started targeting all the like already high achieving women who wanted to get to the next level. I'm like, imagine that's just going to help them skyrocket so much faster. And it does. It slaps.
Even the little bit of change when you're at a high level makes the massive difference.
Massive, especially higher. Your stakes are higher. I have more full transparency. I get more anxiety. I overthink more having gotten to the success than I did before I got to this level of success.
Makes sense. Yeah, I feel that way.
So I know that only at my next level, like if I don't get that unlock, my next level of success is only going to create more anxiety if I don't lock it down now.
So Serah, I wanted to spend as much time with you as possible. This is one of the longer episodes, and even to extend it a little bit. In a second, I'm going to do something that's never been done on the podcast with your permission.
What are we doing, Ben?
But before that happens, how do I call you? How do I message you? Take the course, do the whole shabam.
You can call me when you
I
want
can
to,
whenever,
because
but
you-
if I'm a listener and I'm a badass woman, I'm a heart-centered guy.
I love
How do I reach
Yes.
out, follow, learn more about this stuff?
and I am big
Get the-
on connection. So as much as I say, like, you can call me, I do always open up, like, I mean, it's through social media as best we can. So I do honestly, I start by telling people, go to my personal website. If it's CEOs and businesses, they want to go to the Stage 8 agency website, that's separate. But go to my personal website, watch some YouTube videos, download some goodies, watch some free webinars, get to know me more. And if you're interested in that work, like, awesome, then send me a message on LinkedIn. Instagram gets a little bit overburdened. And this last couple of years, I think even you and I messaged more on LinkedIn.
That's where most of the listeners are for the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm big on that. Like, I have team members that support me, but as best I can, I like to go in and actually connect with people. So if you're getting a message, if you get a message from my team, it'll say it's from my team. Like, if it's from me, it's genuinely from me. I like to, as best I can when I have the time, actually connect with people. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
And it's you. You'll respond. You'll say hi.
It's me. Like, legit, not the fake one.
So, Serah D'Laine, in a second, something I want to get your confirmation that we can do this, and then it's about to happen. It's never happened on this podcast.
Okay, I'm excited and a little bit anxious. What are we doing?
I'm going to do what we just discussed behind the scenes. I'm going to take this transcript. I'm going to turn it into a song. I'll screen record it all so you can see how it looked.
You're not going to make me rap this. I'm not doing that.
You're not going to rap it.
Thank God.
I'm going to turn it into a song. I'm going to give you 2 to 4 versions. You're going to select your favorite.
Okay.
And as soon as this conversation ends in like 45 seconds, the song's going to play. I've never done it on this podcast. So as soon as this conversation ends, the Serah D'Laine, this conversation song is going to play. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with everybody. Hopefully will laugh, because I have a feeling this could be hilarious. So yes.
We'll see what happens.
Hey,
I don't even know what it sounds like yet, so I can't promote it. It might be good. It might suck. We'll see.
We'll see. Go for it. I'm totally down. I'm very excited. Soon. Scared and excited. Yeah. Go for it.
For the first time ever, stay to the absolute end. No, the literally absolute end. And there's an ad after that. You can skip the ad.
Badass rap inspired Kendrick Lamar-ish song by Serah D'Laine. I'm sorry.
I'm going to use a female vocal for it though, because I want it to really represent Serah. I'm not going to use Kendrick Lamar's voice.
Can we get Little Kim?
What we can try?
I'm just playing with you. You know what? I'm scared and excited, and hopefully everybody is laughing with anticipation, as am I.
We're overdrawing. I hate watching those like music shows when they say the winner is this, and we're really drawing out the anticipation now.
Yeah.
Let's end the podcast and play the song.
Sounds good.
They said, "Does your vision scare you?" I paused and realized it didn't, and that scared me. Was a mermaid in the deep, now I swim through the soul. From the red carpets to healing hearts with gold. Hollywood lights couldn't light what I hold, so I stepped into purpose, let the old self fold. The visualization at a seminar got me thinking big, but the dream felt light, wasn't shaking no rib. Like, is this it? Just fame in a script? Nah, I was made for more than applause and a pick. Truth is, impact with no meaning feels hollow. Fame with no voice ain't the path I follow, so I ditched the act, now I write my role. Building from the soul, yeah, that's my goal. My vision didn't scare me, and that scared me, chasing dreams that were comfy, when I'm meant to live boldly. Now I rise with a purpose, a light that I carry, for the women who forgot they could be legendary. Took the detour, vortex in Sedona. Alignment over hustle, now I'm more than a persona. Trained in the shadows, grew in the void. Now I teach queens how to own their voice. It ain't about fame, it's legacy and truth. It's how you hold power, how you speak to the youth. Helping women who already glow get free from the fear that's stalling their flow. No need to pick between feminine and strong. She can be both, baby. goddess answering the call. Personal brand, it's not ego, it's soul. It's the story you carry, the legacy you live. It's how your spirit touches theirs. My vision didn't scare me, and that scared me. That scared chasing dreams that were comfy. When I'm meant to live boldly, now I rise with a purpose, a light that I carry for the women who forgot they could be legendary. From the niece who saw a mermaid on screen to the woman who's now living her dream, built a brand with her spirit inside, a map for others to realign and rise. Not just seen, but felt and heard, a healer with words, rebirth in the world. This ain't cloud, this is clarity, and that's the kind of truth that should scare me.